listen, there's 40 of us out there every week. We had a great year this year. We won 5 races, and that's a great year. That means we lost 31 of them. And like when you think about that, you lose way more than you win in our sport. And so you have to keep grinding it out and keep figuring these things out, the little details, and evolving, with the sport and with the world. And it definitely just keeps changing and going. But the one thing that's consistent is that driver. What is the driver? And to me, the driver to me is always about just that will to win. I just want to have that feeling of victory.
Is a 2-time NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Good job. Thank you.
What's up, everybody? It's LaVar Arrington here, bringing you, that's right, another exciting edition of Up On Game Presents Conversations with a Legend. Presenting host PACE-O-MATIC, appreciate them. This week, I have a special guest. It's amazing. This isn't all about football legends, of course. We've gone into basketball. We'll do other conversations with other categories as well. But this week, it's NASCAR. And it's driving fast. I got my man, Joey Logano, the extraordinary phenomenon behind the wheel. And I appreciate him coming in and joining the show. Joey! Welcome to the show, my guy. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much. Awesome to be on the show. And this is obviously a really cool week for us, after he just won the championship. A lot of great things happening, and we're having a good time with it.
Well, you got your race, your track suit on and everything. Talk about it. Talk about how that feels. I mean, to win the championship, to have accomplished something that very few have been able to do. I believe it's less than 20, correct, that have been able to win the NASCAR championship. It's amazing what you've been able to accomplish since 2009. Just talk about the feelings and the emotions that you're having right now.
Well, you know how it is. I mean, when you start the season, there's one goal. It's not win a certain amount of races or games or whatever it may be. It's win the championship. It's win the biggest trophy that's there, right? The highest goal. You set your goals always high as you can possibly make them. And that was it, right? And it's been that way every year. And, we've been, able to win it in 2018. We've been close a few times since then, but to follow all the way through this year and get the championship. Definitely a spectacular year all the way through. We won the Clash when we started the year. I'm sitting at the LA Coliseum right now. I'm looking out the window. I'm in a suite right now where we raced here in February and now coming back around 9 months later with the championship trophy, doing media tour here. Just kind of a really neat full circle of a 2022 season. So hard to top this year for sure.
I got to say this, Joey. At one point, I was like, I love fast cars. I watch NASCAR. I even watch different versions. I watch stock. I watch funny cars. I even watch drag racing. I like fast cars. But there has always been, in my circle, there had always been discussions of, are race car drivers athletes, man, right? And until I went and started seeing the races, so I saw a race and I couldn't believe. I was sweating and I was exhausted watching it. So when somebody says, yeah, but are race car drivers athletes? What is your response to that?
My response to that is, it depends on how you define an athlete. And to me, I define an athlete as somebody that can handle a high pressure situation in a competitive environment. And that doesn't mean that, hey, listen, you give me a football, I'm not going to be able to do much with the football or basketball or whatnot. But you ask most basketball players to drive a race car, they're not going to be able to do much in a race car either, right? I can throw a football. Yeah, you can drive a car down the road, but it's just different, right? Like there's a different level of doing it. The one thing we all have in common that I've found over the years is that competition in that moment and how you prepare and how you have those moments where, hey, give me the ball mentality. That's what I see the best athletes be able to do and really rise to the occasion. And I believe that's a special breed of people, right? That's a special mindset that people work on over and over again. And yeah, our specialties are in different sports, but we're competing in the same way, right? And there's a lot of different sports out there, right? Besides the big ones that we talk about most of the time, where, you'd say, yeah, they got to handle it. Golf, right? I mean, are they out there running miles and have the heart rate up crazy? No, but would you not call them an athlete? I would still call them an athlete because they are competing on a huge stage with a lot of stakes. And it's a similar situation for us in NASCAR that, yeah, our bodies are still going through a lot as well, right? Our cars are typically 40 degrees warmer than the outside air temp. So you can imagine a 90-degree day, it's 130 degrees in the car. We're in there for 3.5 to 4 hours during a race. We can't make a mistake, right? A mistake for us is hitting the wall. And then our car's garbage at that point and we don't win anymore. So you have to be perfect for a long period of time and your body's going through a strenuous condition. But like I said, it's different than other sports, and they all are. They're all different for a reason. But the one thing that's in common is that pressure that is there and those athletes that rise to the occasion.
All right, so I started asking the question, do you guys practice? Do you practice?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. We practice in a lot of different ways. It's harder for us to practice than other sports, right? Like it's hard to just get in a race car. We have to go to a racetrack. We have to get the car ready. It's expensive, right? Race cars they're just not cheap, right? So the expense is a lot higher. So we practice less. So we find different ways to do it.
And with your crew, you have to have the proper preparation in terms of what you guys are looking for, what they're telling you, what the spotter's telling you, what the weather conditions are, the track conditions, what how your tires are performing, different things like that. Your handling, the steering, and all those different things. Like there are a lot of things that your pit crew have to practice and be on one accord with each other, but also with you as the racer. That takes a whole lot of preparation heading into the races as well, right?
Yeah, it's the details that all have to come together at the right time, right? And everything has to play out just right. So when you look at the weeks leading into a race, you got to build the car. You have to decide what car setup you want it: springs, shocks, bars, front end settings, whatever it may be, right? You talk about those things and try to come up with the best decisions of making sure the car is fast. That's number one. You got to have a fast car. Number two, you got to have the right strategy. You got to know when the right time is to pit or to stay out, or 2 tires or 4 tires, how much fuel load you need, how you need to play the race out, right? Kind of work on that strategy of the race. And then there's the execution, right? You got to have great restarts during the race after a yellow flag. You got to have great pit stops to maintain the track position and staying up towards the front. All our cars are very equally matched. So it's all about the details that win. Just like in football or any other sport, it all has to be just right. And everyone has to be clicking and being on the same page. And it all happens from preparation, right? The race is just a report card at the end of the day. That just shows how you did. But it doesn't show all the time that goes into preparing to make sure it's a great day when you get there.
And to me, those are the reasons why it's a sport. And that's the reason why you guys are athletes. And that's why you guys, I look at it as however you want to put the I guess the title, so to speak, whether it's a coach, whether, whatever it may be, right? That's why this is sports. This is a sport. You have spectators that are coming to the arena to watch guys throw down and compete against one another. And let me tell you something. It sounds like jet planes going around that track. Is it Fontana? I want to say it's Fontana. There's a race in Fontana, right?
There is. We have one out there. Yeah.
I went to one of the races in Fontana. I've been to a couple. I've been to Baltimore to the Indy series. I want to make it to Daytona. It's been a couple times that I almost had time to make it and just hadn't made it. But I'm going to make it to a Daytona 500 at some point. Listen, I have a tremendous respect for what you guys do. Not many people can say they're able to change lanes or throttle down the way that you guys do at the speeds that you guys do it at. What got you into NASCAR? Like, Hermie Sadler is one of my close friends. He's a legend in the game. He's been around for a while. The Sadler family are people of mine, dear friends. It's interesting to hear the stories of how people get involved. Oh, well, I used to ride my big wheel, and my big wheel felt good to me, and then it turned into a go-kart, and then next thing you know, it went from there or whatever. What was your journey into NASCAR?
Honestly, similar to that. I loved cars, right? I was a kid that loved old hot rods. I loved just, seeing cars around. And then I got a go-kart for Christmas one year. That was it. I had a little yard cart, and every day I got home, it was like clockwork. I got home, I'd jump in my go-kart, and I'd go tear up the yard, the neighbors' yards, their mailboxes, whatever was in my way, I knocked it over. I promise you that. And I loved it. Like, my parents realized that, hey, Joey seems to love doing this. I don't know. They didn't have any racing background. I was born in Connecticut. I was living up there, and they realized that I had passion for it. And over time, you start racing in, different series. There's a lot of different things that kids can do for, to start racing. A little league type racing stuff is cars called quarter midgets and legends cars and different things. And as you get older, the cars get bigger and more powerful and all that stuff. And eventually you hope to land a job at a big race team. Right. And for me, I've been at Team Penske here for over 10 years. We've had Shell on the car for that long as well, as Ford too. And everything's just really clicking now. And obviously there's ups and downs, just like any other sport. And you learn a lot in the limelight, and everyone makes judgments on that. And that's just part of the sport and part of just growing up in this type of world. But boy, it's cool to live out your dream, right? Like, this is it. When I was 6 years old and Santa Claus brought that go-kart, this was it. Like, NASCAR champion, that was the goal from that day on. There was never a plan B. There's never a thought of doing something else. That's what I want to do. And was able to just kind of focus in and do that, and to see it all, come to life over the years, and being able to celebrate with your family after winning a championship. There's no better moment than that. You know how it is. Like, the first 15 minutes or so after you win a championship, and you see your team there, and you see everybody hanging out that really is part of it, and then you see your family, and that's just when everything you just break down, right? That is just, everything comes together. It's a cool, very cool moment.
Talk to me about the mindset. Like, the one thing that I'm intrigued and always want to bring to the listener on this show is understanding why you're a legend. And it's a mindset. It's a commitment to doing, like you said, the details, the little things and the tedious things. And it's over and it's over and it's over again. People aren't watching. People aren't always in front of you. People don't always see what you're doing. They don't see the preparation. They don't see all of the ups and downs that you're speaking of. The mindset that it has taken for you to climb and win and have won more than once. Where does that come from? And can you explain, can you kind of take us down, your journey of what mindset means to you?
Yeah, I assume it's probably similar for you. It's just the will to win, right? You just want to be the best, right? That feeling of, we won. And honestly, being afraid of the feeling that losing has. Right, like that's the worst. There's not much that hurts more than that. When you're trying so hard and it just can't come together. And the facts are, in our sport, listen, there's 40 of us out there every week. We had a great year this year. We won 5 races. And that's a great year. That means we lost 31 of them. And like when you think about that, you lose way more than you win in our sport. And so you have to keep grinding it out and keep figuring these things out, the little details, and evolving, with the sport and with the world. And it definitely just keeps changing and going. But the one thing that's consistent is that driver. What is the driver? And to me, the driver to me is always about just that will to win. I just want to have that feeling of victory, and celebrating that with your team. Like I said, the amount of effort that everybody puts into this, right? The driver might be the one that's talking to you, might be the one that has all this, right? And it's kind of like a quarterback to a football team, right? The quarterback, a lot of people talk about, but if he doesn't have the rest of the team there with him, that guy's useless, right? And it takes everybody to make it happen. And so to be able to celebrate that with everybody, and you think of that, how many people that is, it's in the thousands, right? When you think about their families and the impact it makes for them, from bonuses and whatnot that comes along with winning championships. It's crazy. So huge to be able to deliver.
Michael Waltrip. Does the name ring a bell?
Yeah.
Okay. 6'5". He's the tallest guy to race in the history of the sport. You know where I'm going with this? You're 6'1". You're 6'1". You're not short by any stretch of the imagination. I'm 6'3". I've climbed into a NASCAR. I've climbed into a race car before. It's not fun. It's not fun, and it wasn't comfortable. In fact, I thought I was stuck in the car when I climbed into the car. All right. I was proving a point. I made it into the car, but there were a lot of thoughts about how I was going to get out of the car. At 6'1", that is not short. Now, there are 6'1" drivers out there, but that's not short. Does it get uncomfortable for you inside of the car? You talked about the heat, but is there do they modify it so it fits your height? And how much how much space is that they're able to do with all of everything that goes into play into getting into, one of those cars?
Yeah, it's all a custom fit to you. Everything is just the way you would want it. So it's super comfortable. The seats that we have, it's a carbon fiber bucket, if you would call it that, big seat. And then they pour this foam in it, and it kind of surrounds you. And so it's a custom foam insert to your body. Okay. And because now, don't get me wrong, once you're in there, you're not moving, right? Like you can't move at all. You're really locked into place. Which is what you want, right? Because you're dealing with a lot of G-forces throughout the race, but also the crashes, right? And an impact. You don't want your body slinging from side to side in a crash, right? That's how you get injured. So keeping your body contained is one of the biggest things. So once I am locked in. I can't stretch my legs out. I'm not moving around. Like, I am locked in, but it is a very comfortable situation for me. And you want the seat to kind of hold you up, right? You think about those G-forces that you're pulling for a long period of time, you get very tired. If you can have your seat kind of hold you up to where you can focus on the job at hand, that seems to help as well. So I'm sure the car you sat in wasn't custom built for you.
No, it was not.
It was
not. That's awesome. And I'm happy to hear that, because I didn't know. And again, that's why, you ask the questions. I got to put my listeners and my viewers up on game on stuff like this, because I'm sitting there. I got into that car. I could not figure out how I was going to get out. I mean, they removed the steering wheel for me. I had a couple people grab both my arms, and they gave me some assistance till I was halfway out. I felt fat. I felt old. I felt stiff. But Joey, it was good. And I enjoy getting in the car. I have two more questions for you. All right. Two more. The first one being, do you have a most memorable moment in your career?
Well, I mean, I'd say you remember the wins as much as anything, right? And the special ones, right? Whether it's your first win, maybe your first race, your first championship, those things always, like, they're burnt into your mind, right? Because it's something you work so hard for, I think of 2018 when we won our first championship, right? That just those first few moments of seeing people like that is burnt into my memory forever. It's always going to be there. and they're so hard to achieve and to gain those memories and those moments in life. So that's always what's there. But there's also the losses that stick in your mind as much as anything, right? The ones that you're so close to, and something happens that completely altered the way the race went and takes a win away from you. You remember those mistakes or an issue or something that happens just as much as the wins, and those ones haunt you forever. They're always there, and you can never overcome it again. Like, it's always going to be there. But if you use it for motivation, I think it ends up being a good thing, but it doesn't take the pain away sometimes.
You're a young fella at 32, and you have a lot of life to live, but it's a question that I ask all of my legends because it's something that's very important to me, and it's something that I always said that if I ever did media, I would always ask the question so that people's words would linger on throughout time. What do you want Joey Logano, the legacy? What do you want and you might be too young to have even thought about this, but when it's all said and done and somebody's speaking on your behalf and they're talking about you, what is it that you would love for them to say, what you would hear them say that would honor you and flatter you? What, or not even flatter, just wow, I can't believe, like, that's what I would want people to remember me by.
Yeah, I think it's so important to realize, as an athlete or anybody, doesn't matter who you are, that attitudes are contagious. That's one of my favorite things to say. Happy attitudes are contagious, intense attitudes, negative attitudes are also contagious. And how important it is to have a positive mindset is, right? Whether you think about it, you get your coffee in the morning, if that person's in a good mood, sometimes it just sets your tone for the day. If a person's in a bad mood, it might set your tone the wrong way for today. It's that simple, right? And so I always, want someone to think of me as somebody, I want to win and I'm intense, but it's not who I am, right? I'm not just a race car driver, right? And then as a role model in the sport for young kids that want to race, right? You want to be able to show them that there's a correct way to do it. I've made plenty of mistakes and done it the wrong way for years on years, but I'm getting better, right? It's always that constant, drive to be better as a person and doing something bigger with it than just driving in circles, right? Like, you think about it as an athlete, it's cool, but it's not like, are you making the world a better place by throwing a football? Are you making the world a better place by driving in circles all day and ending in the same place? When you think about it, it's really not that big of a deal. But if you use that platform that God's given us to really impact people's lives in a positive way, that's true legacy. That's true champion in life. Something that lives on for generations, not just in a sport. Because ultimately, hey, it's great we won the championship in 2022. That's awesome. You fast forward 10 years from now, no one's going to know. No one's going to think about it, right? They're on to something else. But if you impact someone's life, that can be something that just goes forever.
That's amazing. Me and my dad came up with a saying. You remember the credit card commercial? Oh, buy this lamp, $20. Do this, $30. You remember? And I always said, me and my dad came up with, you know what? Knock somebody out, make a couple $100,000, make plays, get a couple $1 million, win the Super Bowl, get some endorsement, get millions of dollars. Impacting someone's life, priceless. Priceless. Really, and I think that captures exactly what it is that you just said.
That's really good.
I think it's so respectable, my guy. I was a fan before. I'm more of a fan now, just knowing the type of person that you are and the value and belief that you bring to what it is that you do and who you are as a person. I really, really appreciate it. It's not every day you get an opportunity to talk to a two-time NASCAR Series Cups championship guy. Let me tell you, I'm humbled. I'm humbled and I'm honored to have you on, and I appreciate you taking some time for me and our our listening audience. So I appreciate you coming on, my guy.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed being on your show. It's cool listening to, like I always say, I enjoy meeting athletes as much as anybody else because there's so many things we have in common with so many things that are so different. And it's fun to listen to that. So thanks for having me.
Sure, absolutely. And that's 2018, 2022 NASCAR Cup Series champion. That's just read up about him. He's a serious dude, and don't let that smooth baby face smile fool you. He'll knock you down on that go around, if you know what I mean. You've been listening to Up on Game Presents Conversations with a Legend. I'm LaVar Arrington. Hope you enjoyed this week's conversation, and make sure you stay tuned in, locked in, dialed in, subscribe, check out the podcast wherever it is that you download your podcast. Shots out to PACE-O-MATIC, shots out to Brinks TV. Make sure you go check out Brinks TV. All right, that's brinks.tv. All right, make sure you check that out. Till next time, y'all, it's LaVar Arrington. Y'all been put up on game. Talk to you later.